Let's turn our attention to Coach Jeremy Currier. He's the head men's basketball coach at Young Harris College in Georgia. It's an NCAA Division II school and a really tough conference, the Peach Belt Conference. I know Coach Currier. I used to coach against him. He got the best of me, but we did have some good battles. You always knew when you played his team that it would be a game unlike any other opponent on your schedule. He plays fast, lots of pressure. They score a ton of points. He just did it better than any other program. And he's been at Young Harris for 2 years now. In his first season, his inaugural team, they broke 25 program records in their NCAA Division II era. They finished in the top 15 nationally in 9-10 categories. Before that, he was at Pfeiffer University. In his last 2 years, his team scored over 100 points on 40 different occasions. And at one point in time, he was the Conference Carolinas Coach of the Year, the NABC Southeast Region Coach of the Year, led the nation in scoring at 104 points per game one season there, as well as leading them in steals and forced turnovers and turnover margin, and broke, I believe, 11 school records in that nationally ranked year, and even got a win against a Division I opponent, North Carolina A&T, towards his last couple of years there. Also served as head coach at Daniel Webster College in New Hampshire, led them to the highest win total in a decade. Hey, man, it's all yours for about 10 minutes.
Great. Thank you for having me. I'm going to kind of go through some of the things that we do. I put a lot of thoughts on our PowerPoint to try to keep me on track. I think for us, we want to play to the strengths of our best players. And for our time at Pfeiffer and here at Young Harris, those players have been guards. We've struggled to get quality bigs. So this system was really designed to play to the strengths of our best players. We committed to playing fast 4 years ago. Since that time, we've won an average of 18 games a year. Like Richie said, we averaged 110, 105, 93, and 88. This past year, 88, and we lost our leading scorer who averaged 20 a game in Game 3. So I think that our numbers, would have reflected better had we not lost them. In that time, those 4 years, we're 46-5 when we score 100 points or more, which puts us at a 90% win percentage when we hit triple digits. Next 10 minutes, I'm going to kind of gloss over what we teach. I'm going to go quickly, but I did put a lot of information on the slides, so hopefully we can get to all of it. What we've done is a blend of a lot of coaches' philosophies. We've stolen and kind of tinkered with, and how's it fit our group. I think, for what we try to do as a staff, and then I'll share my screen and we'll go through the slide, is, every day we're asking ourselves, are we working towards what we want to be great at? I think that's how we start about every practice plan staff meeting. Are we doing it as clearly and concisely as possible? You're going to hear it a lot in the next 10 minutes, but simplicity is our guide. We don't want our players to be overthinking. What do we want to be great at? And then we make sure we do those things daily. Conditioning is a major component of our program and a big part to me about running the break and being successful with it. And then everything that we do in practice every day is going to be timed. We've really, a big thing for us is we want to take the gray area out. We try to remove the ambiguity and the clock and some of the things that we do really take that out. Our coaching staff goals, simplicity is our guide. You'll see the third bullet there is stolen from D'Antoni. A lot of the influence that we have, heard him at a clinic one time talk about a racehorse. Every piece of information that you give a player is like putting a brick on the back of a racehorse and then still asking that racehorse to go as fast as they can. We really try to avoid paralysis by analysis. And we really don't want to be whistle happy in practice. We are heavy on individual film to build the habits that we want to play fast. I think if players are constantly waiting to hear your whistle and correction, then their habit is going to be to stop. And one of the things that we ask our players is to stop stopping, keep playing. And we want to be great at that. Like I said earlier, we want to remove the ambiguity. We don't want our players wondering. We don't want guesswork. I feel like when we take that guesswork out, they start to trust their instincts on the court. And when they do that, you're going to have a more confident player that is, playing faster. Things that we say to our players: make your mistakes going 100 miles an hour. We tell them to play as hard and fast as they can, and we want to coach the rest. Our whole program is based on effort. So we really put an emphasis, and that's the individual film for a lot of guys. And then we tell our guys this, and it's actually in my office as a sign: they can prepare for what we do, but they cannot prepare for the speed in which we do it at. So we want to be, a lot of times the fastest team on the schedule. And we really sell to our guys. They know we're running our break. They know we're pressing. But you hear a lot of teams talk about the Syracuse zone. You can't replicate that size in practice. We want to make sure you can't replicate our speed and how hard that we play. Next slide is part of us removing that ambiguity, is that we organize our guys by position in our break. We don't do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on our board. Before our game, when we build our lineup, we go with this. We call our point guard the relay man. We really try to recruit a point guard that is in love with advancing the ball. We really want to hunt the pitch ahead. That makes us faster. We chart it. How effective are we in our break when the ball crosses half court in the bounce compared to in the air? A great example would be like a Kendall Marshall from UNC would be phenomenal in our break, because we want to hunt that pitch ahead. Our two corners are our sprinters. They can't be joggers. They have to be guys that not only you trust to sprint, but they're two guys that you want to advance the ball to. When I got here at Young Harris, we kind of pieced it together, and a lot of times we had guys in the corners that our point guards were not comfortable advancing to, and that really slowed us down and hurt us. We really try to recruit point guard types that can play in the corners as well. We do not use a rim runner. We have 2 inbounders. We usually try to have one inbounder be our best shooter. We ask that guy, he's a non-sprinter, but we want to be the best in the country at getting it out of the net. And we'll go through that a little bit. And then for our big, we just haven't had success with a rim runner for a lot of different reasons. My first boss, Dave Davis, when we were at Pfeiffer, who's now Newberry and now at Winthrop, he uses a rim runner. I felt like it slowed us down. I felt like it impacted our spacing. So we've gone to leave the middle wide open, and we do not ask our big to run to the rim. And that kind of flows into our secondary stuff with drag screens or pin downs. And then the last bullet is really just the Bill Belichick. Be great at doing your job. We can't have a corner want to be an inbounder. We can't have an inbounder think he's a corner. And there is a growth period there when you first get your guys on campus that, hey, this is where you are in the break, and we need you to do your job. We ask them to be great in their role. This is how we create accountability, particularly with the speed of how we want to play. These two markers that we're going to discuss are taped on the floor daily. And this is when the horn is going off, and it really removes, hey, I was sprinting the floor. Well, you didn't make the time, do it again. And a lot of that stuff, I stole from Tim Clues, who just finished up at Iona. He has a fantastic DVD. We take all of his drills. And really for us, these are 2 markers that create accountability with our players. The first marker is what we call the scoring area. The scoring area will be taped down in one color of tape. We use that as about the NBA 3-point line. We want the ball to the scoring area in 3 seconds or less. That is on a make, miss, turnover. And that's why we call our point guard the relay man. We want to be great at advancing the ball and getting the ball to the scoring area, ideally with 27 seconds on our shot clock. The next marker for us that's really important for collapsing the defense, flattening the defense, and starting our break in a great way is what we call the dome. It's really the pack line defense. We tape it down in a different color. We used to call it a paint touch, but if you look at the layout of the floor, it's a lot easier to get a paint touch from the top of the key than the wing or the deep corner. So we started taping down that pack line. We call it the dome, and our terminology is pierce the dome. So our whole deal in our break is we want the ball to the scoring area in 3 seconds, and we want to pierce the dome immediately. We don't want our corners to get the pitch ahead from our point guard and hold the ball or go into a bunch of dribble moves. We want to catch, rip, attack. When we do that, we feel like we flatten the floor and we set the stage for a great possession. These are our offensive principles. This is in our locker room. This is discussed daily. This is I want them knowing these when they wake up and brush their teeth in the dorm. This is what we go back to it all the time. When we recruit, we say we don't run a lot of plays, but we play a certain way. That certain way are these 5 things. Every drill, every player development session, every weight room session, we're trying to be great in speed, space, attack mentality, decision making, and then one more. I'm going to go through those quickly, but this is really the foundation for us that we start when they move back in of building our offensive, our break. Okay, when we talk about speed, we're real big on, our offense doesn't start when we cross half court. Our offense starts when we get the ball. Make, miss, or turnover, we want to go. A couple of slogans that we use are: you have to have a one continuous play mentality. We want to win the 1 to 3 seconds, and we teach our guys there's no frustrate, there's no celebrate. I think that separates us, particularly when they make a basket. We call it, we've got to hit back. So if we get beat off the dribble, guy comes down the lane and dunks on us, we can't frustrate. We can't let the ball bounce. We want to hit back, and we want it to be immediately. So for us, that's a detox for our players. We're in the day of age that a guy makes a 3-point shot and he's got a dance routine after it. We love when the opponent dances after they make a shot, because now I know that we have an advantage on the other end of the floor. So we really want to focus on getting the ball up there, and we are always one continuous play, one continuous play. This is a habit that has to be built. It takes time, just like if we walk the ball up and run flex, it takes time. But the habit that we want to build is converting from defense to offense and winning that 1 to 3 seconds. We work on it daily. Whether we have a 4-man group in the gym or we have a full team in the gym, that bullet right there, plus sign and transition, is at the end of every drill we do. If we do a closeout drill into a block out, it will build into plus transition that we're working on a bust out dribble or an inbounds. That's how we develop our habit. We let the drill go another 5 seconds to get to that early part of the break, because most guys are accustomed to stopping, and we want to be great at just keep going. We tell our guys, play the whistle, don't play the drill. And then, you hear this with all of our new players, you have to stop stopping. We've got to keep going. That's why we film everything. We film everything in practice. We don't stop it a ton, but we watch a lot of film with the guys individually, and we teach through that. But our guys' habits are generally stop. They want to, if a guy makes a 3 on them, they stop, they relax. We need them to fill the lane and run our break immediately. And then again, for the speed markers for us, we want to get it to the scoring area in 3, and we want to pierce the dome in 5. The next one for us is spacing. We want to be the best spaced team in college basketball. We keep the middle open. We talk to our guys about width, then depth. Find a sideline and ride it. That's on a make or miss. We want to arrive to the scoring area in position to pierce the dome. And then our whole deal is on the attack mentality, which is next. We really want to be in a position that we're making 2 guys have to guard the ball when we drive it. And that's really hard to do if you don't have good spacing. In our break, we spend a lot of time with our corners. We do not run a numbered break, but we have it defined as corners. Our rule for our corners: ball in the backcourt, you are free throw line extend. If the point guard cannot pitch ahead to you, then we immediately want you to flatten to the deep corner. We teach be as deep in the corner as you can be and still make the 3. We used to teach be below the block, and then they were halfway up the lane, and it screwed up our spacing. We are looking to get those double, triple gaps, quadruple gaps right in transition that we can attack and put the defense in a bad spot. Attack mentality, our whole deal is we want to flatten the defense. We really chart, how does our break impact, the rest of the possession. When we are able to flatten the defense, our success in that possession is unbelievable. Our point guard is called the relay man. He's going to hunt the pitch ahead. If he cannot pitch it ahead, it becomes his responsibility to pierce the dome. So for us, we try to recruit point guards that want to advance it, and if they can't advance it, then they have to drive the ball and flatten the D. like a locomotive. I watched LeBron last night. He got the ball on one end and was at the other end in about 2 dribbles. That's the type of drills that we do with our point guard. They've got to be responsible for starting the possession the right way. Our corners on the catch have to pierce the dome. We work on downhill drives. We want them to drive towards the block. That helps us flatten the defense. The other part, if you think about it, if we pitch it ahead up the alley, let's say, and that guy comes back towards the middle, most of the defenders are trailing the play. And when we drive at middle, those late defenders can swipe or back tip. We really want to keep that pressure on the baseline on the pitch ahead. Our terminology is across the street, up the alley, and if our point guard can't do those and he's told to drive it right down Main Street, if he's driving it down Main Street, that's when our corners have to flatten out deep corner, and it becomes extremely tiresome. It will wear out our point guard. So that relationship between the point guard and the corners is like a quarterback and the wide receivers. And many times I'll have the point guards and the corners in my office together. You know, why didn't we pitch ahead? Well, he didn't sprint. Why didn't we pitch ahead? He was too narrow up the floor. He ran the volleyball line. Why didn't we pitch ahead? And we want those guys to have accountability. So on the catch, we want our point guards to be thinking, relay this thing up the street. This is the one that takes the longest if you're playing fast. We do decision-making in 2 folds. The first fold is valuing the ball. What we teach is easiest play only mentality. We tell our guys if it's not the simplest play on earth, don't make it. I believe good offense is just layering simple play after simple play. Making those reads in transition needs to be developed. I think you being a good running the break coach starts with your practice plan. We don't do a ton in the half court, and everything we do ends with a plus transition because those reads have to be developed. Whether it's a 4-on-2, 4-on-3, 3-on-1, we want our guys to be great at making those reads. Possession differential is important for how we play. Richie said we led the country in steals and forced turnovers. We also led the country twice in turnover differential. And if you've got a guy that's coughing the ball up and giving away, like we're not playing fast to turn it over. We tell our guys, our definition of speed is playing as fast as you can without turning the ball over. For some guys, that's real fast. For other guys, you don't need guys catching it and traveling, catching it, and throwing the ball all over God's creation. The next part for us is we do a lot of the individual film defining what a great shot is. For us, we are running to get great shots. For us, those are rim 2s, trips to the free throw line, and for the right player, room and rhythm 3s. We really spend a lot of time one-on-one with players. What's a great shot for you? What's a great shot in how we play? And what's a great shot in the context of the game? We do a lot of points per possession. We do a lot of efficiency. We sit with our guys and try to use that data to educate them. We don't need a 30% three-point shooter firing up a pitch-ahead 3 with no one in rebounding position. They generally are more susceptible to taking that coaching one-on-one rather than in front of their peers. So that's why those are a lot of individual meetings. The one more, our philosophy, I know I'm going over here. Our philosophy is the last guy up the floor is generally their big and best rebounder. We have an opportunity to attack the glass in transition. They generally don't have 5 guys back, and we should be beating them up the floor. And they're usually out of rebounding position. We talk about get them on the run, keep them on the run. The result of that is they usually don't have rebounding position. The other part that we see is when fatigued, rebounding goes out the window. They're not blocking out. They're standing and watching. So we want to attack them. We don't shoot offensive rebounds unless it's a putback dunk. We stole this from Patino. We assign 4 to kamikaze rebound, and then we generally assign our best shooter as our get-back guy. On the raise of the shot, he's sprinting to the top of the key. We probably get 5 wide-open 3s for a great shooter off offensive rebounds per game. Our guys love it. Our bench goes crazy. It's a 2-for-1 mentality. Rip the rebound, kick it back out to the top of the key. He's rarely guarded. Closing thoughts. Mike Dunlap is a guy, he's got some great stuff. You're looking at his three R's of being a great transition team are react, run out, and read. We spend a lot of time on the react. It takes a long time for our players to stop stopping in that one continuous play. I believe the break is made in the backcourt. We teach sprinter steps. We call them Usain Bolt steps. 100-meter dash. We need you out of the blocks fast. D'Antoni said in a clinic one time, every second wasted in the backcourt costs you 10 feet in your break. That blows up your break. I think your break gets made, it's make or break how your team reacts in the backcourt in terms of your quality of shot in the break. We call the backcourt free throw line extend to the half court mark, the decision-making zone for our point guard. You are either relaying the ball up the floor for the pitch ahead, or if you get to that decision-making zone, top of the key area to half court, and you can't advance it, then the decision is made. You are going, and you are responsible for our pace. I believe if you're a running team, you run after made baskets. We want to be the best at this, and that's the hit back mentality. Our daily vitamins for our break are the inbounds and the bust out dribble. We work a lot on the early part of our break on makes and misses. Again, I think your practice plan reveals your commitment to anything. We spend a lot of time on our break. It's something that's, we show 5 clips before practice. It's something that we show every day. It's something that we're driving home. And then I stole that last bullet from Jay Triano. No, I know that's NBA numbers, but these are the types of things that we like to discuss with our players. Is that true for, Division II? I'm not sure. But I really love giving our guys data. I love getting them to think. And I think what Triano has is phenomenal. I mean, they're saying that the shot in the first 6 seconds are worth 33% more. The field goal percentage is 15% higher, and they're getting 1.2 points per possession in the NBA rather than 0.9.
I'd like to just kind of talk a little bit more from his perspective about how you define the roles of your players in terms of who you want scoring. Like the one coach was talking about reds, greens, and yellows. They have certain roles and responsibilities. How do you guys teach that? How do you guys identify that, and what makes it click for you? What else are you looking for in terms of guys you're bringing in?
Yeah, I think for our system, I mean, the number one thing is, we try to really put an emphasis on effort. We try to really control the controllables. We think effort and conditioning are 2 things that we want to be great at. We try to recruit guys that have a chip on their shoulder. I mean, I've had 4 All-Americans, and I think out of 4 of them, they probably had about 2 other scholarship offers. So, we try to get guys that are hungry and are going to look to peak at when they get to college. In terms of defining roles and shot selection, like I said earlier, we do a lot individual film. I think it's the most return on investment teaching tool I have, particularly because we don't want to stop practice 100 times, and they don't want to listen to me put on a coaching clinic. So we do positional meetings in our break where I meet with the point guards almost every day. I usually take the point guards. I always have someone charting and filming with the inbounders and then the corners as well. So I think they're a little bit more open to learning. We try to ramp up practice and compete, and the pace of practice is very up-tempo, very intense, a lot of conditioning. We want them to put on their battle gear when they put on their practice uniform. We don't have a lot of slow practices. So for that, I think with the habits we're trying to build, we do a lot of either positional breakdown meetings or individual meetings. So when they come in for their 300, 100 shooting, they usually have a film time attached to that if we're not doing weights. And we have different film stations. We just set up TVs on coaches' desks, and everybody's getting film feedback, and we try to grow from there. I think for shot selection, what we do is we say great shots only. And when we define it, we say a great shot for you is one that I, as the head coach, know that you can make 7 out of 10 times. If you're not making it 7 out of 10 times, we tell our guys it's not your shot, it's our shot. So we're giving you a lot of freedom here. We're going to run the floor hard, and we're going to try to get a great shot before the defense is set. we're trying to run our offense, attacking transition defense where we believe they're most vulnerable. But depending on the recruit or the guy, I mean, it takes time to understand it's not your shot. And again, we film every practice and we show 5 clips, and if we'll let the positional coach deal with that first, and then we'll do a bad shot edit in my office after that.
When you're not in transition, a dead ball standpoint, how do you complement this pace of play? Are you doing a called quick hitter? Are you going straight to your secondary stuff? What kind of stuff are you doing?
Yeah, we have what we call 50 series, where 51 will drag ball screen with the 5s and 1. 52, the point guard will dribble handoff up the right corner, and the 5 will trail, so it'll be a dribble handoff chase ball screen. 53 is our 2 trail men will go and set double stagger away to opposite left corner. Point guard tries to get to the restricted area. And then 54 is just the 2 trail men will set the screen. Point guard will come off, and then we'll flare the better shooter. And then all of that action, I love the hammer action. So all of that action, if we go 51, the 5 will be setting that drag screen. And then, like I said, in our break when we organize it, one of our inbounders is the big, and one of our inbounders are best shooter. We run weak side hammer action for our best shooter all the time. We're trying to get it to the rim or get it to the opposite corner. That's generally how we'll flow into our offense if we don't score out of the break. If it's an official handoff, dead ball situation, then we have a package of quick hitters that will, get a guy in ISO. For us, we haven't done a whole lot of ball screening the last couple of years. We want as much spacing as possible. I think the dribble drive component of our half-court offense, I don't want 4 guys to the ball. We're running more get away from the ball, create bigger gaps. But if it's a dead ball situation, we'll make a call to get them organized, and then we'll flow into our offense.
With the high pace that you guys play on offense, what kind of defense do you usually implement to go in concert with that high pace? Like, what do you find really works well to complement everything you got going on offense?
Yeah, I think that's the number one variable for us. I think we're going to run our break and play fast no matter what we do. And I really think the temperature and personality of the team dictates our defensive package. When we average 110 and 105, we ran a man-to-man press on makes and misses called 100-200. We were running a variety of pressing packages but those teams were nasty. They were 4- and 5-year guys, red shirts. They got their teeth kicked in when they were freshmen and sophomores. So, I mean, we had just such spirited practices. I didn't have to rev that team up. So we could play with 2 or 3 guys behind the ball because they were going to get a back tip, or the guys back were probably going to take a charge and make a play. That's when we led the country in steals and forced turnovers. But I've not had that type of kid here. So we've really scaled back. Like this year would be, it was a bad year, probably my most frustrating ever. But we really scaled back the pressing. We really would pick and choose when we press rather than fully committing to pressing. Our whole defensive philosophy has been we don't want them to play in a way that they practice every day. We want to be really, really frustrating and nagging. So this year's group, in February, we went to pack line D. We still hit for 90s a couple different times. I know Coach Peel obviously was at Winthrop, but we've spent a lot of time with Pat Kelsey, and they've incorporated the 2 inbounders and the things that we do. And I think they were top 5 in the country in scoring, and they're strictly pack lines. So I think every team's different. I think the nastier group we have, the more we'll press. But this year was real soft. So we were much better suited for getting back, building the defense. And I think those are the things that we try to figure out when we get them to campus. I'm going through kind of a little bit of a rebuild, and we're counting a lot of new players. So I don't know the temperature of the team. How hard can I coach them? How far can I push them? And last year's team, it just wasn't that. So I think when done correctly, we're pressing. We're pressing every second. That was a lot of fun, and But you have to have guys you trust, and the biggest thing is what's beating in their chest. If they've got real heart, then we really would go at somebody.
You guys obviously play really, really fast, and you got to be in great shape in order to play the way you guys play. What kind of strength and conditioning program do you guys have, or do you tell your guys to do in the off season, or how does that look like in season and leading up to the postseason?
We've had multiple calls. The strength coach at VCU, I think he just went back with Mike Rhodes, but he was there with Shaka, and they had such a unique strength and conditioning program that was really tailored to their style of play when he was running Havoc. And I don't know, I think his name was Dan Roos. And we've had calls with him. We've got his DVDs here. Their whole thing is very different. You know, they're not sitting on a bench doing 10 reps, standing up and flexing in the mirror. They're very get to the next station, very upbeat, up-tempo, attack the workout. I think their strength and conditioning complements an up-tempo basketball style very well, so we've studied him. We've had a couple different calls with Mike Anderson, strength coach, because he's trying to get out and go, and they've done some unique things that we've stolen. I think the big thing for us is we don't get our guys in the summer, so the big thing for us that creates accountability is we have a conditioning test that they have to pass. If it's a bunch of returners that I trust, then I say, you're not going to be in a workout till you pass it. Other groups like next year's team is a lot of new guys. We'll build up to it. But basically that conditioning test is 5 7s, 5 30s, and 5 9s. A 7 is down and back 14 times, so up and back is 1. They have to complete that in 1 minute and 35 seconds, and they get a 1 minute and 35-second rest. The next part, when we say 5 30s, those are suicides. They have to do those in 30 seconds. And then a 9 is just down and back. Whatever we give them time to run, that's the rest that they get. So when they're running their 30s, they're getting 30-second rest. When they're running their 9s, they're just getting a 9-second rest. That'll make a man out of you, and that'll earn respect, with their teammates in the locker room. But that's been a benchmark for our program to make sure guys are in shape. And again, sometimes we'll run that September, sometimes we'll run that in October, but we're working towards building into that conditioning. It's amazing because, those teams we had at Pfeiffer, we'd be down 10 minutes into the second half, and our guys are celebrating at the media timeout. These guys can't hang on for the last 10 minutes, or they'll have a 7-footer, and our 6'8" that's running to the rim will say, this guy could not pass our conditioning test. Like they just wear it as a badge of honor. I mean, it's a nightmare when they're getting through it. But it really has been a culture builder for us. And it's so damn hard that the guys, you hear it in our huddles all the time in games. There's no way their best player could pass a conditioning test. So that conditioning part's a really big deal for us.
From a player development aspect, outside of fitness, what skills can players develop in the off season to improve their success within your offense?
Yeah, I think the 300-100 program we run, they have to make 300 threes a day before practice and 100 free throws. We chart both. We give them a shooting percentage each week. We post it in the locker room. We make that a staple. And then again, our guys we tell our guys, we're giving you an unbelievable amount of freedom. You got to earn, there's a price for freedom, and for us, you're going to pay that price. And, I've heard a bunch of coaches that have said the green light, yellow light, red light. And we do some of that. We say, if you can see a 3, you got to pull. And then some guys we just don't want to shoot. Everybody goes through 300-100. I think the best way to give your players confidence is to make them work harder than they're comfortable doing. I think there should be a difference in your workout with a coach than it are if you're just out there with your buddies. Otherwise, you don't need a coach. So we spend a lot of time on shooting threes and making free throws. And the shots that we want are rim 2s, free throws, and room and rhythm 3s. So we do a lot of breakdown stuff of getting by, efficiency with dribble. And then, again, we define a great shot as one that you can make 7 out of 10 times and shooting over a 7-footer at the rim is not on our list. You know, we don't. A lot of times we'll sub out and we'll say we just don't need that. You know, we can get whatever we want. We don't need that shot. This year's team, I struggle with that. You know, to me, there are shots that we count as turnovers. You know, when we come in the next day, we'll say, you know, we turned it over 10 times, but, you know, we also took 7 not great shots. We had 17 turnovers. And we do turnover cards every day. We post them, and each team gets 5. And if it's a bad shot, if it's not a great shot, we count it as a turnover. So we really try to condition them. And we tell our guys, you know, nothing makes me happier when they come up to the office with ideas about basketball, but I'm usually going to have some film to show, like, these are our great shots. These are not our great shots. What's our effective field goal percentage on great shots and points per possession compared to not great shots? It usually ends the discussion quickly, and they buy into what we're doing. So all of our player development package is getting to the rim and finishing, making your free throws. And, again, we're taking 30 to 35. I mean, I've had teams that have taken 45 threes in a game.
Yada Reed is asking in the chat if you don't mind repeating that test again. Okay,
so it'd be I'll kind of outline it as 5 7s, 5 30s, 5 9s. The 7s are down and back is 1, and you do that 7 times in a minute 35, and you have a minute 35 rest until you run the next one. You do a total of 5. As soon as you're done with all of those 5, you go immediately into the 30s, which is just a old school suicide, and you have to be done in 30 seconds, and you have a 30-second rest. And as soon as you're done with that, you go into the 9s, which is just up and back in 9 seconds with a 9-second rest. In its entirety, if you do one group, it should take under 15 minutes. And then you have to decide, you know, again, do you have a veteran group? Do you have a new group? For us, you know, if it's a group, like when we, a couple years ago, won the Conference Carolinas, we were 26-5. We averaged 105. Like, I had all returners. I said, if you guys come back out of shape, you're not going to practice. Because I trusted they were going to do those things. So it's hard to say that if, you know, you don't want to have practices without your best players. So if you've got new guys that you're still learning, then we'll say, hey, we're going to work up. Like this week, we're just going to work on the 7s. This week, we're just doing the 30s. The next week, we're doing the 7s and the 30s. Like this year's team, we'll build up to it. But with a veteran team, we're saying, hey, we're doing this on September 1, and after that point, you're out of the locker room. Or sometimes we'll say that's how you earn your gear. I mean, something mentally to say, like, I've got to get this thing done.
Because of the extended three-point line, has it increased your interest in getting double gaps in terms of what you're doing on offense? Because the floor is open. And with your system, is that a big part of what you're doing?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So for us, we talk about that scoring area when we tape down the NBA 3. And when we get into our offensive stuff in the half court, our rule for spacing is no one inside the scoring area unless you're driving it, or if we've got someone posting up. When we go 4 out, 1 in, we usually tuck the big, we hide them on the dunk spot. We get a lot of help uphill dunks or dump downs. But we really want to leave that middle open. I just really, when many years ago when Stan Van Gundy was with Orlando and they were putting 4 around with Dwight Howard, with Hidou Turkoglu and that group, you know, I really, really studied them. And just, I mean, he just wanted that air. That's when they went heavy ball screen with Dwight, because they wanted the middle open. They wanted no one, you know, guarding it. They wanted the help to be coming from the weak side, and they were walking in threes. I mean, they won the Eastern Conference. My thing is, where we want to attack, we don't want to be planting someone. So for us, like when we do zone offense, like I don't like planting a guy at the nail, you know, because that's where we want to attack. And if we do put someone there, you better be able to pass. Like a lot of times I'll put my point guard there, you know, or if we're putting someone behind the zone, like a lot of times I'll put my best passing guard. Otherwise, I mean, for me, I want everybody spaced out. And a lot of times in our half-court offense, we talk about getting away, you know, creating that double gap. We tell our guys, be ready on the catch, be shot ready, be attack ready. And then our whole goal on offense is We want the defender on the ball, man or zone, to be on an island. So we'll tell our guys, like, we don't pass and chase ball screen a lot. We can pass and basket cut. We can pass and screen away, or we can pass and just wheel out. But that's a lot of our film session. I mean, I'd say the pace is really important, but to me, it's space. You know, I just think if you've got really good spacing on offense with how they call the game and you touch a guy, it's a foul. I mean, we take 33s a game, but we also take 30 free throws a game. Like, we are driving you, and we want you in. We want whoever's on the ball to be, you know, we want whoever's on the ball to be, you know, on an island. And that double and triple gap, you get that by, you know, don't pass and stand, pass and go away somehow. So we organically set a lot of screen aways or double stagger aways, or just, if we do basket cut, we teach finish your cut, head in the net, and then clear opposite. We really do. We give our guys a lot of freedom in the half court, but our whole deal is spacing. I think the things that we stop practice for the most are going to be effort issues and lack of spacing. I wrote on my board, I was just running the other day, I said, I think a thing that is undervalued is a player that understands positioning and spacing on offensive and defense. I think we're all looking for basketball IQ players. I think you can really tell a guy that understands positioning on both sides of the ball. Like, now we're only recruiting watching film. So, I mean, it's like, man, this guy doesn't have a clue about spacing. You know, like, he's good. He's good at going to get his, but in the team concept, you know, we're going to have to really teach this guy what spacing is, and that's offensively and defensively. I think it's an undervalued basketball IQ area.
Coach O'Bannon wants to know if you can clarify what you mean by double gap.
Like, when we go 5 out, if the ball's here, you know, we don't want our guys, if we're 5 out, we don't want this gap to be narrow, right? Because whether they're pack line or online, cheat line, deny, I mean, there's going to be a defender on the ball. There's going to be a defender somewhere in here. You know, this is not a good driving gap. So for us, like, we would, you know, let's say he passed there, like, go set a pin down, because this defender is going to pull out. And now you look at that gap, this defender is going to chase the action. We can drive that a lot better. So for us, it's all about getting a gap here and a gap here. He can achieve that from basket cut and clear opposite. He can screen away. Same can be said, you know, if we're here in 5 out, you know, and I think the best double gap, I love watching Milwaukee Bucks play in their 5 out, and Budenholzer tapes the squares on their court. I mean, the visuals are fantastic. If he goes here, you know, and then he goes here, this is how we organically get a lot of, then go away. You know, now you've got defenders here. You got 60% of their D, 80% of their D, and then this guy, man, he's got a guy there. What we teach our guys, we say, drive the fat gap. Don't attack the skinny gap. If this guy gets it, this is the skinny gap. That guy can bluff at it, strip you. There is no help right here. And if the help's coming, it's coming a long ways away. And our whole deal is in the half court, man, let's attack, let's play through the weak side, and let's create as many long closeouts as we can. Because, I mean, I heard Bob Huggins speak in Charlotte years ago. He said the hardest thing to do is go from help side D to on-ball D. That long closeout's a killer. You know, you start thinking about, you know, the defensive end. What do you not want your guys in? You don't want them in rotation. You don't want them in long closeouts. You don't want them guarding a ton of space. So to me, offensively, can we achieve that every time down the floor? And teaching our guys the double gap, triple gap, just keep getting away from the ball. You know, I think that's a big part of our offensive efficiency.